Hey guys, welcome to the Final Whistle podcast. We are back and the Reds won, so all things are happy and delightful. If you're a Liverpool supporter, climbing back up onto the table. There's been a sacking this weekend as well. Lots of tasty things happening, and City are back as well. And joining me to talk about the key talking points about game week 10, I am delighted to be joined by Ben. Ben, welcome back.
Yeah, it's been a better weekend of football, hasn't it? Liverpool winning, about time. A couple of interesting results and performances. So yeah, I'm looking forward to do a bit more.
Yeah, let's focus on Liverpool. So Liverpool 2, Aston Villa 0. Liverpool finally winning a game of football. A clean sheet. Mo Salah breaks another record, a personal record. All phenomenal stuff. Your thoughts on this one? I felt like a bigger step in the right direction in terms of the performance. Definitely many more positives there, given the fact that the magnitude of this week for Liverpool. Oh, it seems like we've lost Ben there for a moment. So I'll talk about it. Yeah. I think confidence is a big thing. It was a big thing for me as a supporter, and even the players, like they just looked like they were just about to concede a goal, and it was just so great to actually see a clean sheet. Some of the old boys putting in a good shift as well. I thought Mo Salah definitely looked. I felt like he got more of the ball. It felt like he was hogging the touchline far less. And McAllister was running up and down. I thought Sabozlai had a really good game as well. Definitely a step in the right direction. I did think that the bench looked a little weak. There weren't many attacking options. Verts came on much too late for me, which was a bit of a nightmare. And yeah, not cool, but it'll be interesting to see what he does against Real Madrid. There was a great save by Mamashvili as well. I've been longing for that as well. I mean, it's a nightmare that we actually gave up a shot, but the fact that he made a good save, because I would just feel like he really needed a clean sheet. He also probably needed to be on an end of a win and a clean sheet as well for his confidence, because I feel like the sample size that we've seen of him with Alisson's injury has been when the poor form has happened. So those were all the positives that I took from that. With regards to Aston Villa, they did put on some pressure, but I have to say it's been a long time since I've watched a Liverpool performance, certainly recently, where I've been I was fairly comfortable. I think my only urge was towards the end was please don't concede, and I felt like we looked like we potentially might have been losing a little bit of shape towards the end, when Verts came on, but nothing too alarming. Gravenberch, I thought, had a good game, given the fact that, he's been out injured as well. And yeah, lots of positives there. A step in the right direction, nothing amazing. This is going to take time. I feel like we've got some big games coming up, and, this is going to be absolutely crucial to see what Liverpool can do. We're just trying to get Ben on. Let's see if he can get him on. And yeah, so those were my thoughts on the game. Martinez also having a few howlers in nets as well for Aston Villa as well, which was pretty hilarious from the world's greatest goalkeeper. But yeah, those were my thoughts and takeaways from it. So overall, a really good performance from the Reds, given the magnitude of what was kind of riding on it in that regard. It wasn't perfect, it wasn't flawless, but definitely a step in the right direction. And it just goes to show that, Liverpool were in this huge crisis, and they've basically won a game of football, and they're currently third right now with how the Premier League table is looking. So yeah, all good stuff. I'm just trying to contact Ben as well to see if he can get him on. I've pretty much spoken about Liverpool there, and my thoughts on how I thought Liverpool did. I do feel though like with Liverpool winning, which is a huge step, but I still think like the games that they've lost have been like so catastrophic, and I don't know, we've fallen away a little bit from Arsenal, who are just completely running away with it. So, those are my little bugbears, and of course Onana as well, not getting, absolutely wrestling his way to the ground. And I think there was something quite iconic between him and McAllister as well. But those were my takeaways from it. But I am joined by Ben again. Ben, I've spoken at length about Liverpool. I want to get your thoughts. I've spoke about the performance, spoke about some of the key players, people like Sabotslai, people like Mo Salah, McAllister doing well. Liverpool winning a game of football, not great, but huge for Mamashvili getting a clean sheet as well. Just the whole takeaways. Martinez, the world's greatest goalkeeper, having howlers, all the fun stuff, but take it away.
Yeah, hopefully I don't overlap anything that you said, but I think going off what you said and trying to say something different, I thought Bradley was really good.
Whatever you want, because I'm sure a lot of people have opinions.
I thought Bradley was really good compared to what he has been. Yeah, back to his best. I think it was on Gesam, that tackle where he tracks back and gets a foot in, and that's just classic Conor Bradley. So with Frimpong out, and obviously Calvin Ramsey's done all right, but wasn't even in the squad. So I think that's kind of ruled him out of that conversation at right back. I think having Bradley back to close to what he's capable of would be a huge boost. And I mean, I think there's loads of long-term issues still there for Slot. Obviously, you've got to try and fit Wirtz into the team, and Isak and Kyrgyz. I mean, there's loads of questions, but I kind of got a bit of stick for tweeting yesterday. I mean, what's a more pressing need, winning games or finding Wirtz rhythm? And to me, he picked the right team to get the job done last night and improved in the performance. So it'll be interesting to see what happens against Real Madrid.
Indeed, and I think you are quite spot on there, where it's going so fundamentally wrong, which it was for Slot. You just have to go with what works, and I think that is a philosophy that anyone will adapt in any walk of life, in any business, any profession. Just stick with what you have, and then build upon that. And I would like to see more of Wirtz, but I think maybe that's a teaser of what's going to happen this week with regards to his team selection and the rotation or lack thereof. I, in hindsight, that team pretty much won the league last season, so I'm all for it. And I also appreciate the fact that Mo Salah was not hugging the touchline all game. These are positives, because when he's clicking, everything seems to be working. And of course, Ekitike was a starter in that game, which was something that obviously didn't happen last season because he wasn't our player. But yes, I would agree with you. And I think now, looking back, the people that gave you stick probably would reflect on what maybe they had to say. So well, I'm going to talk about Arsenal now, and I think we should talk about Arsenal because before you joined us, Ben, I said it's great that Liverpool won. It just stings a little that we are so behind Arsenal, who are just quietly just running away with it, doing a job, quite resilient, quite professional, and it just goes to show how bad this league truly is. Last season we were gassing it up, but this season, literally, Liverpool have been so poor. People have been talking about Slot. People have been talking about this team, and they win a game of football. And of course, with what's happened with Man City's result as well, because Bournemouth were in the mix as well. Liverpool are third, literally, So let's talk about Arsenal. They played Burnley. They won, and it was fairly straightforward for them. 2-0. It looked like Burnley didn't really pause much. They didn't have a shot on target. I was looking at some of the stats as well. So really, really easy stuff for Arsenal. What's really bothering me, though, is they're not conceding.
No.
Sorry, it's a Liverpool fan. Arsenal fans.
Yeah. Do you know what it is? I think I said something similar last week. They're an incredible team. They're not one that's going to... I mean, it sounds a bit harsh when you look at the players that they've got, but they're not going to have a player with the moments that Salah has across the season or anything like that, but they're nearly impossible to beat. I mean, we saw it ourselves. We beat them, but took a hell of a free kick from Sabozlai to beat them. 3 goals conceded in the league so far. It's just ridiculous. And I know people make comments about the set pieces and stuff, but I mean, you just got to look at the results ultimately. Good teams win a lot of games, and they're doing that. And one thing I would say on the points gap, I mean, all it takes is one weekend, it's down to 4 again, and then all of a sudden Liverpool are back in the conversation again. And like I said last week, Liverpool have closed down gaps much bigger than that against much better teams in the past. But that's only if we can sort out all of our problems. So yeah, it'll be interesting. But yeah, Arsenal is really impressive, and I don't quite understand the reluctance to kind of give them the credit that they deserve.
Yeah, I would agree with you on that. I think it's just very easy as a Liverpool supporter to be like, well, no, we're not going to give you credit. And yeah, they are quietly winning, and I'm sure they're laughing at everyone and everything because it has been quite easy for them. And even when they look like they've really, really not struggled, but like that game against Man City where they, pulled deep and got the point at the end, they just seem to just show some kind of resilience. You and I spoke before this pod, and we came across. Well, we came across a really, really weird stat about Liverpool, right? Liverpool are the only team to draw in the Premier League this season, which made us laugh because you said, "Oh, it's all those late goals that they've been conceding."
Yeah. Or scoring, by the way. We scored a lot of late goals, kind of in the story of Liverpool's season, hasn't it?
Yeah. Yeah. So there's a funny little stat for you there, guys. Yeah, Arsenal seem to be doing really well. It'll be interesting to see how they get on in deeper in the. I feel like as well, like they've had such an easy run in the Champions League as well that they're not really being tested as well. So, I think that factors into something as well. Let's talk about
their fixtures. Just on that quickly, their fixtures have been a lot easier than Liverpool's, and it's not an excuse at all. But Liverpool have had a really tough start of the season, both in the Champions League and in the Premier League. We haven't really had one of those games where, no disrespect to any of these teams, but like a Wolves at home or a Leeds at home. I think Liverpool are crying out for one of those games, to be honest.
Yeah, I think so as well. And like you said, anything can happen in the league. Liverpool, anything can happen, but Liverpool are right now not the finished article as well. And I think we can all agree on that. So we really need to know what is going to happen with Slot and how he's going to set this team up with the new players as well. Because I think, whilst the old formula to some degree worked against Aston Villa, it wasn't great, but we bought all these players. We want to see the next evolution of Liverpool Football Club under Arne Slot. Let's talk about Nottingham Forest and Manchester United. 2-2 that one finished. I mean, United were winning, and I was like, oh gosh, they've really turned the corner. Then Nottingham Forest pull one back. Sean Dyche is, Nottingham Forest, and then it's 2-1, and you think, oh my God, could United lose another game of football here? Was it just a little flash in the pan thing? But save the point. I mean, who do you think is going to be more happier in that one, Dyche or Amorim?
I'd imagine Dyche, I guess. They're already looking better than it's pretty hard to look worse than what they did under Ange, for example. But they already are looking better, and that fight that hasn't been there in recent weeks was there. So there is positives to take from that. I think Amorim will be frustrated, but just on that game, Amad Diallo's goal, by the way, what a strike. He's really, really impressed me this season, and he's not even playing in position. He's being used as a wing-back and still performing that well. So there's positives for both. I don't think it's an awful result either. Forest away is never an easy game. Yeah, I think based on from what I saw from the game, it was a fair result as well. But yeah, I don't think either will have too many complaints. I mean, it's another game unbeaten for Man United. They could twist it that way. So, and they haven't went on many runs like that.
They do. Right, let's move on. This was the 5:30 kickoff. Tottenham 0, Chelsea 1. I think Spurs fans and just Spurs in general were really, really timid. It was a 5:30. I was kind of meal prepping. It was on, and I think there was one chance where I think Kudus had a bit of bite about it. That I think there was one chance in the first half, and I didn't see an awful lot. And I think just conceding so early on in the game as well, but it felt quite early, 34 minutes. But I just feel like it took the sting out of the game. Also, if you look at the shots as well, I just felt like Chelsea just completely dominated them. Spurs have got some really, really good players. They've got a good manager. They sat quite healthy in the Premier League as well. Let's not downplay that. What I'm really intrigued about is Chelsea. There's been a lot of talk about Chelsea and the manager. People, I keep seeing links. I'm sure you've seen it on EPL and on EPL Index that they're really keen on the Bournemouth manager. And it's just a bit mad because you think he's quietly doing okay. They're doing well in the Champions League, but it just doesn't seem to be enough for the likes of Chelsea. But what do you make of that?
I find it interesting because at first I was quite skeptical over Maresca, but I completely agree with what you're saying. He has slowly been doing a good job. I think it's the inconsistency. I mean, losing at home to Sunderland last week, and then you see a performance like yesterday. I mean, there should have been more than just one that they won by. I think that's the frustration. But Tottenham were just so. If you're a Tottenham fan going to the game there in a derby and you put in that sort of performance, it's just kind of takes all the kind of wind out of your sails, doesn't it?
It does. I was watching it, half watching it because I was kind of busy trying to feed myself, and I was just like, I can't see them coming back. Like, you can sense something might stop you from cooking. And I wasn't getting that. I was like, oh God, I think this will probably finish 2-0 or 3. Like it didn't feel like that it was going to be like an even kind of tussle. So yeah, from a neutral perspective, I was quite disappointed because on paper and the magnitude of that fixture, you expected it to live up to more, and it was quite underwhelming from Spurs. I understand they're in Champions League, and I know that that's a big thing for them. And I think Frank has alluded to this as well, that we're trying to adapt to the Champions League as well. I think he said that after one of his results against Monaco, I think it was, they drew.
Yeah.
So yeah, he's got much learning to do. They've got much learning to do around him as well. Let's carry on talking about Saturday fixtures. Brighton 3, Leeds 0. I think that one was fully to be expected. We knew they were going to come around. Crystal Palace beating Brentford 2-0. Both teams at Liverpool have suffered too. So no love lost from me from either party in that regard. Fulham 3, Wolves 0, which actually concluded to the Wolves manager getting sacked. I'm not surprised at this. Are you, Ben? No, you've been saying it for weeks, actually.
And just on that, I mean, he signed a 3-year contract not long ago. And I mean, I'm not going to sit here and claim to know all the details of the contract. There might be some sort of break clause, but if there's not some sort of clause about performance related that sack them for a certain cost, then that's one hell of a blunder. And I mean, I don't know who they bring in. I've seen Brendan Rodgers as the bookie's favourite, but then I've seen David Ornstein mentioning Gary O'Neill. I mean, if I'm a Wolves fan, I'm not looking at my phone at either of those names, to be honest.
No, they're really underwhelming. And I think as well, when you're in like a bit of a relegation scrap as well, I don't know, like, I feel like the Premier League has a bit of a benchmark, and when teams constantly change managers or there's a change in manager, it's very seldom that manager saves you unless you're Sam Allardyce, which he did not do with West Brom. I just feel like when you're fighting in a relegation scrap and you sack a manager, I feel like if I was a supporter of that club, I would feel like my club's in serious bother. And there's, it's almost like, oh, well, the club can also hide from behind the fact that, oh, we have to change manager, and that, it's almost like another excuse.
Yeah.
For me, it just feels that way. Speaking of relegation sides, West Ham today beating Newcastle 3-1, a goal down. They didn't have some luck against them in the first few minutes. They thought they had a penalty shout. They did get a goal, and then the most fortunate own goal you could probably imagine by Botman. And Newcastle a little bit toothless, and then I thought West Ham just closing the deal right at the end. Huge points for Nuno and West Ham there. But I still think the fans are a bit cheesed off with the owners. We saw the protests.
Yeah, it was a really good performance, actually, from West Ham. I was really impressed with Fernandes and Paqueta, because we all know how tough Newcastle's midfield is to play against. And, I mean, they didn't get any sort of control in the game at all, Newcastle. That's not like them. And I thought the changes at half-time, bringing Gordon and Voltemada off, were strange. I know they didn't play well in that first half, but it almost felt like giving up. But yeah, West Ham definitely deserved the win, and it's a huge one for them because the pressure was really starting to mount on Nuno already. But yeah, Newcastle, really poor performance, really poor season for them. And I wonder, it seems like every time they get beat, their journalists kind of put out a hit piece on Isak, so I wonder how they try and twist this one. I mean, just on that, by the way, I feel like the Newcastle Journal should be getting paid double, because they're covering two clubs at the minute. I feel like I'm seeing them write more about Liverpool and Alexander Isak than their own club, and I think maybe they need a little bit closer to home, to be honest.
Yeah, actually, you know what? I have had a little bit of a social media detox, and I do sometimes catch myself going on Twitter. I will always call it Twitter. And the amount of people who are still calling out their journalists for writing about Liverpool, like it's been a trend today as well.
Yeah.
And I heard one of the pundits, I can't think which one, on Sky Sports, talking about, you know, Newcastle, you know, maybe they're struggling to kind of balance the whole Champions League, because of course we know they were in a few years ago and they were so underwhelming in it. And this is a new setup now. There's more games in the Champions League as well. You know, you're playing all the way till, I think it's middle of January, isn't it? Where all your 8 games or whatever it is are done and dusted, and then you're going on to the next phase. Yeah. I think, you know, that teams like Spurs and Newcastle, who are adapting and, you know, are the pedigree of Champions League. You can even say Chelsea as well to some degree, actually. You know, you can put them in there. I feel like teams who play them that week should really sniff blood. Like, if, you know, I think that should be like, they've got Champions League football. We should be, you know, at the very least taking a point from them, especially the lower teams. You know, really, let's get stuck into them, because I feel like they are there to be exploited.
Yeah.
And I think West Ham did that today.
Yeah, we saw it a lot with Aston Villa last season as well, didn't we? Where I think it got to about December time and they hadn't won off the bat of a Champions League game, or so, it was some sort of stat like that. But yeah, with the squad that they have, and they've got a few injuries like Newcastle, so yeah, I think that's something to really keep an eye on, the kind of game after a European week. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure they'll turn it around. I really rate Eddie Howe, and they've got some brilliant players. It just doesn't seem to be clicking at the moment, but I'm sure it's only a matter of time. Maybe teams like them, not to talk them down or anything, because realistically, they're not going to go too far in the Champions League. So maybe it's one of those where they kind of build speed in the second half of the season when they've got less games, and obviously they're still in the Carabao Cup as well. So they've had a tough schedule. So maybe they build into the season a little bit.
No, I think that's a valid, fair point. There's a lot of games and there's a lot of football to be played, and I think that the strain of the Champions League now as well, and the added games as well, you know, it can be difficult for teams who are not used to it. And I think even like teams like Liverpool are adapting to it, and Arsenal and Man City. And speaking of Man City, there was a game at the Etihad against Bournemouth. Apparently they said this game was played. Bournemouth faced Man City this time last year at the Vitality Stadium, and obviously Bournemouth won, but 3-1 it finished to Man City today. Haaland is just an absolute robot. I feel like he's walked into what he was maybe 2 seasons ago. He just can't stop scoring. 2 for him. O'Reilly scored as well. Even though it finished 3-1, I felt like in the first half it was very end-to-end. And it felt like a very close encounter, but there's just something very clinical and cutthroat about Man City that was the difference between both teams. I think Semenyo coming off as well probably derailed Bournemouth's chances in that game. Those were my thoughts from it anyway.
Yeah, I was still quite impressed by Bournemouth, to be honest. Seeing a team that actually goes to the Etihad and kind of takes the game to them. They had the chances. They could have easily scored a couple themselves. I mean, I guess the only difference is they don't have an absolute robot up front like Man City do. But yeah, Haaland's an absolute joke. I think there's 25, 26 goals for club and country and one first in November. So, yeah, it's just ridiculous. I mean, any other forward would be happy with 25 goals in the whole season, and he's just on a different stratosphere at the moment. But yeah, Man City, do you know, I think I saw a stat, and I'm guessing it's still the same with only O'Reilly scoring today, but Man City's second top scorer in the Premier League is Esteve, the Burnley defender, because he scored 2 own goals against them earlier in the season. So I think that's a little bit of a concern for Guardiola. If something was to happen to Erling Haaland, I think City could really kind of capitulate a little bit. But I mean, he's so kind of robust. It doesn't seem like that's going to happen anytime soon. And God only knows how many goals he's going to score this season.
Yeah, he does look freakishly built as well. Like, you know, like you said, like he is their goal scoring threat. And if they can keep him fit, it looks like he's not looking back. I would agree with you on that one. So tomorrow.
Just on Haaland quickly as well. I don't know if you noticed with Man City, it's literally like a conveyor belt for chances for Haaland. Everything they do is to create chances for him. I just wonder whether that's something that Liverpool are kind of missing a trick with Ekatike and Isak. You know, you've got two players there who, when you're looking at strikers, maybe just behind Haaland, they're probably the two names that you look at. If we can create chances on a basis as regular as that, then they will score bags and bags of goals as well. So I wonder if there's just something in that. Kind of when you look at Man City, it's just it seems like every 3 minutes he has a massive chance to score.
Indeed. Well, Anna, if you're listening to this,
not to give any advice,
or get him on your coaching staff because he's got some ideas for you. Yeah, I would agree. I mean, you're right. We've got target men now. We've got genuine target men who are quite
real outlets. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think at half time yesterday, I think Ekatike had only touched the ball 5 times. So like, there's a massive difference there that maybe we're not exploiting like Man City and other top teams are.
I'm going to keep an eye on this now as well. Thank you. You've alerted me to something as well. How much supply is he actually getting? So tomorrow, Ben, I think this is going to be a really good game. Sunderland versus Everton. That's a Monday night kickoff. I got a good feeling about Sunderland. Can't lie.
Yeah, I mean it's hard not to at the minute, isn't it? I mean everything they do seems to. It's just one of those seasons for them so far where everything's just falling into place. And like we said, last minute goals, they're loving them at the minute. But yeah, the performances have just been genuinely good, and I think they'll win tomorrow as well. I mean, defensively they're so good, and with how blunt Everton have been going forward lately, then I don't see any reason why someone can't get another 3 points. And I'm sure that will put them up to second in the table as well. I think that'll be 20 points from 10 games. So, yeah, crazy from them.
Absolutely, absolutely. Right, Ben, we've spoken about everything. Is there anything that you kind of want to highlight before we go to plugs?
I think the only thing that's getting on my nerves at the minute is actually, I saw it last weekend when we got beat off Brentford, is this whole long throw-in. I don't mind a long throw-in, but when there's players running half the length of the pitch to go and grab a towel to then take the throw-in, something needs to be done, because the amount of time that we're wasting by the ball being out of play or taking throw-ins, I don't know about you, but I'm finding games so hard to watch at the minute. And I don't know whether it's just because Liverpool have been bad, but just in general, football at the minute is just a bit draining, isn't it?
It is. I mean, for personal reasons, I've not really been watching an awful lot of football. And I started watching, Ben, I kid you not, when we lost to Galatasaray. And I was like, what on earth? And I was on the graveyard shift as well. So I was like, not only am I watching this, I'm hosting the Euro Incision tomorrow. It's the first time I watched football in such a long time. And I'm doing the night shift, which is, you've done it. It's so depressing to cover that night when you lose.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've just been, and the Frankfurt game, like, I didn't take much from it, because anyone that watched that game will tell you that Frankfurt were horrendously defending. There wasn't much to take from that. It was just Liverpool just kind of lapping up their errors. And I know that happened a little against Aston Villa as well. You know, Martinez, you know, he was just being so careless, and Liverpool were pressing, and I want to see more of that. I want to see them press their. I want the opposition to struggle to get out of their half. Like, I want that. I don't want them to play out and play through our middle, because that has been an Achilles heel for us, you know, because then I want to see us defend, and I want to see more men committed in attack. And like you said, strikers. So, yeah, it's not been great. I think, football has been a bit of a struggle train, should we say, but hopefully we can get a couple of good results. I'm hopeful and optimistic, and maybe after the international break we feel a little bit better. Well, who knows? Well, we're back next weekend anyway. We've got to talk about the Man City one. But Ben, before I let you go, where can people find you on social media? What are you up to, because you're so busy?
Yeah, just Ben Pescott Journal on Twitter. All my work goes on there, whether it's for Anfield Index, EPL Index, or the new Substack that we've got going. The Liverpool Substack, there's stuff every single day, sometimes twice a day. So if you haven't already signed up for that, I would definitely recommend. There's stats, there's opinions, there's everything you'd want in written format on there. So yeah, I'd definitely check that out. But yeah, Ben Pescott Journal on Twitter. All me stuff's on there.
I love Substack. It's even like working with you and the Substack thing. It's kind of inspired me to write a little as well. I tend to do it more during international breaks. I have more time to think about.
Yeah.
So yeah, guys, do check out Substack. Do check out all the content on Anfield Index and EPL Index as well. Ben's doing a lot of work then. There's loads of pods. But guys, thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for listening as well. If you're listening on a podcast, we will be back next weekend to cover Game Week 11, where Liverpool only face Man City. So watch this space. Till next time, guys, take care, look after yourselves, and up the Reds.